All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on the first episode of Office Hours 2017. And let me tell you, while people are rolling into the live broadcast, I could not be more excited to bring the show to you starting in 2017. And I can't think of any better way to kick off the show than an Ask Me Anything. My name is Chris Donaldson, and this is Office Hours. Now, before we get started, I've got a little bit of toast I need to do here because I just saw through my email that my boys, Chris and Jimmy over at Curator, have decided to end their really popular show. So I want to give a toast to you guys and really wish you well on whatever you're doing next. You've been a huge inspiration to me. I loved meeting you at your conference not too long ago. And I know whatever is on your plate going forward, you guys are going to kill it. So here's a toast to y'all. It's been quite a ride, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with next. So for our Office Hours audience, tonight's show is an Ask Me Anything. So we've had questions rolling in all day long. So if you're watching live and you've got a question, the best way to send it to me during the show is either in the YouTube comments, wherever they are on whatever device you're using, or simply send me an email with your question, chris@christalks.com. chris@christalks.com. I want to answer your questions about real estate, marketing, sales, success, hacks to those things. Heck, the real estate exam, anything and everything in our universe, we are here to answer on the first Office Hours of 2017. As you can see tonight, I'm rolling solo, and the reason for that is I wanted to start and I wanted to talk directly to you guys, answer your questions, and also give you a couple of insights of some exciting things we have coming up this year. So without further ado, to keep the show hopefully within our 30-minute window here, I want to answer the first question. The first one that came in today was about the Zestimate. And I get asked this all the time because of the popularity of Zillow and also the fact that due to its popular, that sellers, when they're meeting with their real estate agents, love to either show or talk about the Zestimate and the related value. And so let me walk you through it one more time. If you haven't heard this before, it's really playing right into your wheelhouse as a real estate agent. Understand that if a seller asks you or presents the Zestimate, let me tell you the wrong thing to do. The wrong thing to do is to go, oh, that thing is wrong. That's terrible. Zillow doesn't know what they're doing. And kind of just brush it off. Because what you need to understand is, and sorry about the mic there, if the seller cares enough to ask you about it, you should care enough to answer it and not by just brushing it off. So what you need to do is, if the Zestimate is incorrect, don't just tell them it's wrong, tell them why. So what that really is an opportunity for you as the listing real estate agent or the possible listing real estate agent to show them your expertise. So if that potential client or that seller asks you about the Zestimate, what you really want to do is tell them, in other words, preparation is key. You want to say, Mr. Seller, I'm glad that you asked that because I checked out the Zestimate too. And I want to show you that I think it's really off, especially in this neighborhood. And here's why. Boom, boom, boom. Because before you went to the listing appointment, you prepared. And one of the things that is a common question is that sellers are going to look for values of their house online. And one of the most popular tools for that is on Zillow's site called the Zestimate. So you need to understand that's playing right into your wheelhouse. If they ask about the Zestimate, that's a huge opportunity for you to show your expertise and to display to that seller, look, that's just an algorithm pumped through a website. Let me explain to you where they get it from. And every state's different. But if you're watching in my home state of Louisiana, as an example, Zillow tells you on their own site that the Zestimate is wrong. In fact, it's really wrong. And the reason for that is they're not fed enough data for that information to even be close to correct. Remember, poor data in or no data in, bad data out. So when it comes to the Zestimate, there's 1,000 ways you could say it, but at the least, you should be prepared for that and understand that the seller is basically begging you, asking you, show me why you're an expert. It's kind of like going online, logging on to WebMD and looking at your symptoms and trying to figure out what's going on. Well, you look at WebMD, you figure out the symptoms, but if something's really wrong with you, are you just going to sit at home and go, well, I went on WebMD, I got it, or are you going to go see a professional? So even with the Zillow Zestimate, even if the seller feels that they have an idea of what their house is worth, they likely still want to get information from a professional. So hopefully that answers your question about the Zestimate. I love talking about that. It's one of my favorite things because it really plays right into your wheelhouse. Another question that I thought was interesting is it comes up a lot, and that is in trying to generate buyer leads and leads in general, and the idea of how many leads in this person's question and in their term are crappy, for lack of a better term. And I think it's not necessarily that the leads are crappy. I think more it's understanding the sales process and really the nurturing process that needs to take place with a buyer. Because for instance, a lead that's generated from Zillow.com, Realtor.com, one of these types of websites or apps or Boomtown or anywhere else you're getting it from, a lot of times that means somebody has looked at a house on their phone more often than not, and they've requested to talk to an agent. Maybe you've paid to be there, and then you get that information. And you contact that person, and either one of two things happens. One, you get nothing, right? So you get this lead, you contact them back, they don't even respond. It's annoying, right? It's like, okay, this is a crappy lead. But I think we need to understand that the sales process for buyers fluctuates around 6 months to 9 months in some cases, which means they start looking at houses 6 months before they're actually ready to buy one. So when you get that lead, you need to get out of the instant gratification culture and quit thinking that this person wants to buy that house and wants to buy it now. Like this is supposed to be the magic ticket to Commission Town, and realize that that person may be browsing and you have the opportunity to develop a relationship with them, follow up with them, and make sure that you are their agent when the time comes, or give yourself a great at bat at being their agent when they're actually going to pull the trigger and look to buy. Because think of the average home buyers. They're out there searching around. You get that lead. So what you need to understand is don't just write it off. Put it into a system. You better have a CRM. Follow up again over time, knowing that it could be up to 6 months until they buy a house. If you never hear from them, keep it up and wait for them to tell you, stop contacting me because I already bought a house. Okay, good. Now I know. I can remove you from the database, if you will. So understand, when it comes to lead generation and lead conversion, agents are addicted to generating leads. But what you really need to understand is you got to know how to convert them, and then you need to be tracking them. So if every agent watching this, you've heard me say it before, would make one resolution for 2017, it would be to meticulously track every single client you earn and where they came from. You need to understand you don't know if leads are crappy unless you have a conversion ratio. Because if it's like 1 out of 10 and you're like, I'm getting these 9 crappy leads, but that 1 out of 10 gets you a commission check that more than pays for the lead generation, then your ROI is in the positive and it might be a good program. Maybe you need to double down on it. So if you're not tracking it, it's really difficult to know whether it's a good system or whether it isn't. So I love talking about that. It's something that I'm really passionate about because generating leads is only part of the game. You got to have a system in place to put them through your funnel, have a pipeline, follow up. That's the key. All right. So far, we're just a few minutes into office hours. We've talked about how to handle the Zestimate with your seller. We've talked about lead conversion and understanding the process of when a buyer begins to look for a home, stop thinking that it's going to be instant gratification. It's not a bad lead because they don't buy right now. It's really important that you understand that. Sometimes those leads take time. Okay. So another question that came in, and a shout out to my guy, Dean, because he always wants to talk about the Internet of Things. And so the question was, does a Facebook page, a business page, replace the need for an agent to have a website, or even vice versa? And if any of you guys, here's my opinion on it. I think it's really simple. Honestly, the idea of asking the question of whether you need a website or not in 2017 should be completely as ridiculous as it sounds. It's ridiculous. Like, even a one-page profile connected to your broker's domain to where you have a profile online where people can find you and that's your website is infinitely better than not having one at all. I mean, think about it, guys. 89% of home buyers start the process usually by looking houses online, or they use the online process at some point during their search. And you're telling me you're wondering if you need to have a website or not? So you've heard me say this before. The two digital pillars, there's a whole lot of them, but the two pillars that I talk about all the time, the basics, the base foundation for your real estate business online should be your Facebook business page and some sort of website. Facebook business page and some sort of website. One without the other is not enough, because you need the social ecosystem, you need the Google ecosystem, and you need to be able to be found both places. I mean, think about it. When you need to find something, what do you do? Honestly, what do you do? Ask yourself that question. What do I do? Most people pull out your phone, Google, looking for an instant result. If you're a real estate agent and you don't have a website, how are you going to come up? How's somebody going to find you? If you're in sales, the goal is for as many people to be able to easily find you as possible. Unless you got so many clients, you don't know what to do with them, and then you want to shut it all down. I mean, look at the show office hours. What's the point? To talk to as many of you guys as I possibly can. And so what you need to understand is that having a Facebook page is great. And if you're generating a lot of business, that's awesome. But if you don't have a website, like, do you even know how much business you might be missing out on? And vice versa. If you're not into the social thing, or you don't use Facebook for business, do you even know what you might be missing out on? As an example, the opportunity to use Facebook's advertising platform, which is probably the most refined, the best, and the easiest ROI if you have any idea what you're doing in order to invest your advertising dollars. So to answer Dean's question, because I think he knows where I stand on this, you got to at minimum have the two pillars, man. They're everything. Your website, some sort of web presence. So subdomain, profile on your broker's site, whatever it is, something. And then Facebook business page. So if you don't have one of those two or either, you got to get right on it. Heck, pause office hours, get right on it. It is brutal if you don't have that stuff. You got to have that stuff if you're going to be able to compete in 2017. So great question, Dean. Thank you. I could talk about that for an entire show. So as a point, guys, as I'm answering questions that are coming in through the email, coming in through social, coming in through Twitter, I want to remind you guys, if you have a question, if you're watching right now, if you got a burning question that's related to real estate, sales, marketing, any of this stuff, please send it to me in the email bag. It's the quickest, easy way for me to get it right now. Chris@christalks.com. Chris@christalks.com. So I'm answering questions that have come in throughout the day. Another great one that came in, and I think it was more of a comment than a question, but it's something that comes up in our industry a lot, and that is the art of communication and the complication that a lot of people are really dealing with in terms of communicating amongst other professional agents, communication between the public and agents, and communication between agents' own clients and agents. So one of the most common complaints, guys, let me take it first from your clients, the people that are paying you. Understand one of the most common complaints is is that they cannot communicate or get in touch with their agent. It's mind-blowing to me. We are in the service industry in a way. I mean, all right, the idea of what we do is to take care of their needs, and the idea that your client can't get in touch with you, and that's one of the most common complaints. It's something that we need to address. Also amongst agents. Like, understand, guys, if you shoot an email offer over to another agent, you can't assume that they received it. If it's time sensitive, like 24-hour expiration, follow up with a phone call. Follow up with a text. Stay on top of that other agent to make sure, as kindness, that they received it, and then in serving your client, that you can try to get that transaction done for them in as little amount of time and efficiently as possible. Guys, I'm just going to say this, all right? I'm not a lawyer, but there is sort of an issue that's been going on for a while. It's not really a secret if people know contract law, but there's a lot of purchase agreements that are going through and being closed, if you will, that technically expired before they were even legally accepted. And the reason they expired is because there's not enough communication on both sides to even make it happen before the contract expires. And if that doesn't make sense to you, understand this. If that contract expires, it's an out. Legally, it may not be a contract at all, and it could cause a problem if the seller or the buyer wants to get out. And then if lawsuits start flying around and they could prove that the agent didn't do their due diligence necessarily, it could be a major problem. So, Adrian, props to you for bringing that up. I can tell you, as exciting as a topic as ethics is, I spent hours and hours and hours doing ethics seminars this past renewal cycle for realtors. And I wish I could pull it up. I don't know where I have the picture. I have it somewhere. Maybe I could pull it up while I'm saying this. But literally, one of the most common complaints from agents about their fellow industry professionals revolves around communication, which really bothers me because we all have our phones. I mean, all of us. Come on, y'all. Most of us have our mobile phones within arm's reach 24 hours a day. So the idea that you don't have time or can't respond to a fellow agent that's trying to negotiate with your client to help you guys get a deal done, it's mind-blowing. So the only excuse that I'll give you is that you're so busy, you have so many listings and so many clients that it's difficult to be in constant communication with everybody. Then that's a signal. Either you need a better system or maybe you need an assistant. Because if you can't handle the business that you have, you're going to begin to get a bad reputation, and you might lose some of these folks simply over communication. So if you can't handle it, you either need a better system or maybe you need an assistant. Maybe it's time, invest in that communication assistant that can keep you in touch, constant communication with your clients. So Adrian, thank you for bringing that one up. It's a big one. Related to that, in professionalism, look, I'm looking here. I'm getting questions through Facebook Messenger all over the place. I love it. Mary asked me, and she made a comment about agents who are using contractor lockboxes instead of MLS lockboxes. Now we're getting into the weeds on MLS rules, professionalism, availability, etc. But it goes down to a couple of points. And that is, honestly, if you're using a contractor's key box, something like a master lock, where you just put in the code and instead of the MLS lockbox, first of all, you're killing yourself. And the reason you're killing yourself is if you're the listing agent, you're not getting that data on everybody that's shown the property. You're not getting that data when somebody uses their phone to open it up as to who's visited the property. Like, to me, that makes no sense. And you're inconveniencing agents and probably causing yourself more trouble by having to communicate directly, back to communication, with every agent who wants to get in the property, unless you're just posting that master lock number, the contractor's box number on the MLS, which I also, unless the client has specifically requested it. I think if you don't have enough, gumption to get another lockbox, you need to get one. I don't know what else to say, Mary. I think it's a great point. Unless the client, of course, if the client has requested it, well, then you use what the client wants, right? Or how they want it. They don't want it on lockbox at all, you don't put it on lockbox at all. But if you got lockboxes at your disposal where all of us agents in town can use our phones as an example, beep, to get in the house, like, you're missing out. Because if me and 4 other people go and show that house, yeah, maybe I had to get in touch with you to get the code, but you're not getting into the system, and it could be complicated. I think it's bad sales, much less bad manners. So, Mayor, if you're watching, that's about the best I have on that. But local MLSs have a lot of different rules about lockboxes and things, and so there's no way that we can dive in deep. There's too many different areas and agents from different MLSs, which could be watching office hours. So, but I love the point, Mary. Love you too. All right, a few other questions. Let's move into sort of the marketing arena for a minute. So, if you're a pro realtor out there and you want to talk a little bit about marketing, I got a great question from a past office hours guest, Eugenia, that really is centered around, if you are an agent that's got enough business to where you want to outsource your marketing, what sort of services or what would you really want to be outsourced in terms of marketing, which is such an open-ended question. Because listen, at the end of the day, real estate agents, one of our important skill sets, if you're a listing agent, is marketing and advertising. It's promotion. It's getting people to that property to see it, ultimately to make an offer and buy it, right? So if you're not like good at marketing, then maybe you should outsource it, as an example. So to play into Eugenia's specialty, but number one at the top of my list is photography, because pictures and images, the creative web, the web is all about images. Why do you think I'm doing a video show, even with my goofy mug after working all day and my thank you notes, posted all over the wall and whatever, because video and images are what resonate, okay? And so when you're selling a house, understand most people are looking in houses on their mobile device, and they're swiping through realtor.com, and they're looking at the opening picture and then the second picture. So guys, if you're a real estate pro and you're not good at photography, stop taking your own pictures, outsource to a photographer. It's not going to be that expensive in most cases. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to throw out numbers, but $100 maybe to sell a house where I'm going to make, I don't know, $5,000 in commission. I guess a no-brainer to me, because I'm not good at photography. So office hours audience, Chris Donaldson is admitting, I'm not good at photography. Hey, this is a webcam. I don't know. It's not my skill set. So the number one thing I would do is outsource, so that when my listing shows up in a crowd of others, that it really stands out. All right, that's number one. Number two, I think, would be some sort of video component attached to that. So whether it's a virtual tour, whether it's a 3D map, whether it's just all the pictures put into a collage with music that can play on YouTube to display the listing, I think that beautiful pictures, one, outsource, two is to get video, and then three is marketing materials themselves, beautiful materials. So when somebody comes to an open house, when I had a flyer, it's gorgeous, it's nice, it's clean, it's not the printout from the MLS. If that's your marketing materials, you gotta do better. You're not even trying. I say all the time, effort always wins. So pictures, video, and marketing materials that are beautiful. And guys, all three of those, I'm telling you, I love marketing and sales and promotion. It's one of my strengths. I'm not good at any of those three. So I work with people that help me on those three, because I'm not good at them. I mean, I'm not. And so that's okay. Doesn't mean I'm a bad real estate agent. It means I'm going to have a great photographer come in, and I'm going to know what to do with those pictures. I'm going to know how to get people to see those pictures. I'm going to make sure that when your house is on the web, that so many people are swiping and asking questions, I'm going to know to take that picture and use my Facebook business page to pay for a post that people are going to see and interact with it. The point is, I know what to do with the image. I just may not be world-class at taking the image. So if you're looking to outsource marketing, think in terms of what's most important. I'm telling you guys, if you're a real estate agent out there and you're the iPhone guy and you're out there taking a bunch of shadowy iPhone pictures and putting them in the MLS, it's not me that you have to worry about. It's not even your fellow agents. It's your client, because they're going to be looking at that and they're going to be going, well, why am I paying this guy? Like, I could have done that. And that's a totally fair question. So understand, if you're not good at something, if you're looking at outsourcing marketing, I think anything that's image related is probably the most important. So great question there, Eugenia. All right, so I've got a couple of others, and a past office hours guest and past office hours host, Ryan Harrow, is using the executive line. He's texting me his questions because that's how special he is. So yeah, he's getting special treatment here, texting me questions during the show. But he basically asked, why do most real estate agents fail? And then he followed that up with, what's the best way to increase activity or with a limited budget? And then third, is it okay to fire a client? Ryan, since you've been so good to the office hours community, I hope you're watching right now. I'm going to answer all three. So let's start with the first one. Why do most real estate agents fail? Guys, if you're out there, post in the comments. Again, whether you're on a mobile device or a desktop, post in the comments. Why do you think that the statistics are so strong against agents making it past year 2 or into year 5? And I think the answer is really simple. I think most agents fail for 2 reasons. One, you're starting a business when you get your real estate license, and not a lot of people are prepared to put the work in that it's going to take to build a business from scratch. You get the idea that it's super easy. You get the idea that anybody can do it. Well, I'm telling you guys, anybody can do it that's willing to put in the work. So I think part of it is just the effort to reach out, to promote, to ask people for their business. That is super important. And it's something I think that all new real estate agents need to understand. Because remember, when you're starting a business, you got 2 things. You got money or you got time and effort. Money or time and effort. So assuming most new agents have no money, you got plenty of time and effort. So I think a lot of agents fail because they don't have a business plan. After they get out of real estate school, they stop learning, which is a nightmare, guys. As soon as you get your license, you get out of school, then the professional skills and training really starts. It's when it really begins. So you just walk through the gate. Now you got to learn. So I think it's a lack of seeking out the training and direction, but more than anything, you have nobody else to blame but yourself. It's really about effort. The second, with a limited budget, what's the best way to increase activity? So if you want to increase activity, I'm assuming for your real estate business in general, I think there's 1,000 million ways you can reach out and try to increase activity without spending a cent. Again, okay, so no money or limited budget, but high levels of effort and activity. You got the want to. Well, number one, especially if you're a new agent, and Ryan, for you, every single person you know should hear from you directly in the first quarter of this year somehow, and just touch base with them and make sure that they know that this is what you do for a living. So it's not spamming them. It's not, shoving stuff down their throats, spending money on mailers because we're talking about a limited budget, but just reaching out to them. If you're a current agent, I tell all you guys, this is old school and it still works. Pick up the phone and call everybody that's done business with you and just say hello. How are you doing? Man, remember that time when we were in the negotiation and look at you now. That house is beautiful. Just have a conversation. Check in with them. I think you will amaze yourself with how much business you will get out of that. So rather than going and spending money on the next lead generation scheme, why don't you just use this device, which conveniently enough has a phone, like you can call people on it and do that. I think you'd be amazed. So on a limited budget, it's all about reaching out to people. It's all about talking to people. It's about making connections. Another thing I talk about all the time, so Ryan, just to kind of double down on that, is everybody that you meet could be a missed opportunity if you don't give them the chance. Just the other day, I was literally rehabbing my knee. All right, I'm going to physical therapy, and my therapist is talking about we were thinking about buying because they're renting. They're both new to New Orleans. They moved here for a job. I would be insane if I didn't make sure that they knew that I was a professional real estate agent and I would be glad to help them. Like, you can't get their business if they don't even know what you do, or don't assume that they know what you'll do. And then I'll follow up and I'll check with him. I'll say, hey, man, where are you on the buy-in? Because look, it might be 6 months, right? It's already in his head, 6 to 9 months before they actually buy. So just make sure that anybody and everybody that you come in contact with that even remotely mentions the idea of buying or selling a house understands who you are. You're a professional, and that you would love the opportunity to earn their business. It's simple, it's old school, but it freaking works. All right. And then the last question, is it okay to fire a client? Yes. All right. So next question. If a client and you are not getting along, fire them. As long as it doesn't break a contractual agreement or anything of that nature. Yeah. Easy. Easy. All right. So I got a few more questions coming in. Thank you guys for watching the show. It's about 30 minutes in. I was trying to keep it to 30 minutes, but questions are still rolling in. So why would I stop the show now? But at this point, for those of you that may be new to the show or are watching the rebroadcast, let me make sure that you understand who we are and what we're doing here. This is office hours. It started as a way for me to reach out to all of our students that are taking our courses, and now it's to the entire real estate community. My name is Chris Donaldson, and I am the CEO of Donaldson Educational Services. And quite frankly, I love real estate. I love education. I love training you. One of my passions, my main passion, the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning is helping you guys reach your potential, give you the training that you need, help you build your real estate business. Literally, that's what we've built our entire ecosystem around. Quite frankly, you. So if you want more information, if you want to support the show, if you want to make sure not to miss future episodes, quite simply, just make sure that you catch us on my website, www.christalks.com, www.christalks.com, and you will see, guys, that is an ecosystem where we're talking real estate sales, marketing, industry news. That is my place to help you guys with your business. So a couple of other questions that are coming in. Oh, that's a really good. So Mary going for the bonus question. All right. So Mary must be watching. Shout out to Mary. Sent in a question, and they're asking about marketing to at an open house that's not yours. Whoo, you asked me the tough one. So this is really an ethics / legal question, more than it is a marketing and sales type of question. So in other words, you've got a lot of things at play here. You've got general ethics, you've got industry ethics, you've got your local license laws. But my personal opinion is somebody that's a total go-getter, somebody like me, I've heard people say, well, you should be looking for business at every opportunity until it crosses ethical boundaries. So if you're going to somebody else's open house and you were openly like grabbing clients, taking them into a private room and like just trying to market your services, poach people from somebody else's open house, it's in poor taste if it doesn't violate ethics and if it doesn't violate your local license laws. I think by the nature of just being there, introducing yourself, you can hand them a business card and say hello. Let them reach out to you later. But openly trying to grab clients at somebody else's open house, I think is in really poor taste and probably violates, if you're a realtor, the code of ethics. So if anybody knows, if you're an expert on the code of ethics, maybe you sit on the hearing panel, let me know. Drop me a note. Tell me. It sounds to me like it's unethical behavior at minimum if it doesn't violate license laws. I really would suggest looking for options elsewhere than trying to poach somebody else's open house. But that's just my personal opinion. All right. So I'm looking at Snapchat here, trying to get all the different questions. Thank you guys for sending questions so far, because otherwise I would just be answering into nothing. And so I really appreciate it. Let me double check and make sure that I've gotten to most of the questions that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to catch. If you like the show, if you're enjoying the broadcast, please, if you're a first-time watcher, make sure you go to christalks.com and subscribe. You'll get a lot of content, valuable content, industry updates, show notes after an episode of Office Hours. So make sure that you do that. And guys, if you are a regular watcher, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for coming to my website, checking out the new design for 2017 and watching the show. After all, the whole point of Office Hours is for you, because I'm an agent, you're an agent, I'm talking to you, and I want to see you guys reach your potential. If you want information on additional training, you want that high-level stuff, the one thing I can tell you is that we have a course right here at home in our Donaldson studios, if you will, at our campus that's live once a week for 8 weeks called Superstars 2.0. I know there's some graduates asking questions. I love it. They are still on top of the game. So if you're wondering, once I get my real estate license, where am I going to get that direction? Well, there's a lot of different places. Your broker may have a program for you, etc. But guys, I've got the blueprint for you. I've got the 8 weeks to show you how to build your real estate business from beginning to end. So if you want more information on that, same as everything else, email me. I'd love to hear from you and tell you more about the program. Chris@christalks.com. The program's called Superstars 2.0. And basically, I'm going to help you build the real estate career that you want. Because if you have the effort, you have the will, you're one of these agents that wants to make it, I'm your guy. I'm here for you. And so email me. Tell me your challenges. Let me help you out. So guys, thank you so much for watching the first edition of what will be many of this season's Office Hours. And what I want you guys to understand is we're going to be regular. This is the next season every Wednesday. However, if you have a preference on another day, another time, some other place on the schedule where you'd rather see the show fit in, let me know. Tell me in the comments, email me, let me know, because this show is for you after all. So if you'd rather it during the lunch hour, first thing in the morning, or at midnight, hey, I do it for you. Whatever's going to bring the eyeballs. So let me know if there's another time you'd rather it. Otherwise, we'll see you next week on an all-new episode of Office Hours. Thanks for watching, guys. Really good to hear from you.